Warm greeting to all watching this lecture. Today we are going to learn about conservation of natural resources. But before that, concisely let's have an idea about natural resources. Satisfying human needs by all means at given place and times are called as resources. When the resources are from natural components like land, water, minerals, forests, energy, wildlife, and even man himself can be termed as natural resources. Natural resources can be categorized into four major types. First, continuous resources. Wind, gravity, geothermal energy, tidal energy, and solar power can be listed in this category. These continue to be available throughout, but now we have exception of solar energy as it is affected by atmospheric pollution. Second is renewable resources. Potentially capable of regeneration naturally within the time relevant to mankind, these resources are also called as flow resources. They cannot be degraded by any calamity. But at critical point, renewable resources may never recover. Examples are soil, flora, fauna, clean air, and clean water. Third kind of natural resources are non-renewable resources. Also called as stock resources, non-renewable resources are available only in finite quantities. Their rate of renewal is so slow that if utilized in excess, it might vanish. Examples are minerals and groundwater. Fourth kind of resources are extrinsic resources. The resources which are changeable and continuous if well managed are called as extrinsic resources. For example, management abilities and human skills, which are more prone to break or degrade. So, this was all about types of natural resources. But before we take a leap towards next segment, let me update you on the current status of global resources. Due to increase in rate of population, there lies a global concern for sustainable use of resources to meet up an unending demand of mankind. Water, land, forest, energy, and minerals come under category of global resources. Global survivability depends on the usage of resources, but due to modernization there is increase in utilization and decrease in the rate of resources. Hence comes the need of conservation of natural resources. Conservation should be every nation's prime agenda, and it totally depends on nation's social, economic and political strength. But due to overutilization of resources by developed countries, there is a revolutionary change in ecological balance, whereas underdeveloped countries are still in the poverty line with less usage of their own resources and exploitation by industrial pollution of the other developed countries. Now, let's understand in detail the major resources and its conservation. The major types of natural resources are water resources, land resources, biological resources, mineral resources, energy resources, ocean resources, and human resources. First, water resources. On our earth, there is abundance of streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans covering 3/4 of Earth's surface. Approximately on the earth, there is 97.2% water in ocean, 2.15% ice glaciers, 0.62% groundwater, and rest of 0.03% in atmosphere, saline lakes, and fresh water. Being vital resource for life, demand for fresh water has increased day by day with rapid growth in population, industry and agriculture, depleting its global requirement. Now, let's have a quick look on properties of water. First property, water is primary component of cells involved in vital metabolic and cellular processes. Second property, water is cohesive, has high heat capacity and can exist in wide range of temperatures in form of solid, liquid and gaseous state, thus helping living organisms survive. Third property, water has high heat of vaporization which helps in maintaining heat of ocean and transforming its vapors, and hence we have rains. Total volume of water on earth is about 1,46,000 and thousands of kilometer cube, where annually 520,000 of kilometer cube is lost due to evaporation. There are many reasons due to which there is no proper use of fresh water, like first, pollution of toxic chemicals, second, soil erosion and deforestation, third, inefficient technology for water use, fourth, extraction of groundwater at higher rates than it's in charging. In India, we receive around 3 trillion meter cube of rainfall everywhere, and we have enough wetlands and basins to balance the ecosystem. But still, always there is a lot of hue and cry about scarcity of water. Hence, there is a vital need for a national water policy which can ensure the sustainability, availability and use of water in a proper way. Water conservation. Water is utilized in massive quantities for domestic purposes, agriculture and industries. But due to improper collection of water on surface, excessive groundwater withdrawal which might also contain fluorine or arsenic and high rate of evaporation, there is a great need for widespread water conservation planning for all countries. In April 2002, Government of India declared National Water Policy, where importance of surface water collection, storage and utilization was made prominent. Attempts made. The first attempt, at household level, collection and storage of rainwater and watershed and irrigation management by building traditional ring well that we also called as kuwa and rooftop rainwater harvesting and storage. Second attempt, wastewater treatment and reuse or household, aquaculture, irrigation and industrial purposes. Due to receding levels of waters in rivers, we are more dependent on groundwater, which has now led to its scarcity. The third attempt that was made was in our country India, states like Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Rajasthan and Punjab, percolation tanks, check dams, rooftop water harvesting, water collection structure that we also called as tanka in every house, recharging and rehabilitation of wells has been made compulsory. Also, for newer constructions of buildings, a law has been imposed that it should have arrangements for rainwater harvesting. So, this was all about water resources and its conservation. Land resources. India has a total land area of 2.4% of world total, and it supports population of over 17% of the world. This states that per capita availability is only 0.48 hectares. Land is one of the most essential resource as it is used for production of crops, food, fodder, medicines, fibers and other essentials. A cultivable land depends upon temperature, moisture, topography, soil, and human attitude. Land conservation. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India, the following measures are to be taken for conservation of land resources. First step, by educating, informing and sensitizing all landholders about importance of land resources and its sustainable use. Second, by contour plowing, where the fields are plowed, harrowed and sown along the natural contour of the fields. Example, terracing method that is used in rice fields. Third step that is taken, strict actions are to be taken for afforestation of trees and reckless falling of the trees. Also, reforestation of trees, bushes and grass is ensured. Fourth step, shelter belts that are also called as the rows of trees are planted across the margins of the desert. The third type of resource is the biological resources. Earth organisms can be termed as biological resources. However, due to rise in human population and resource consumption, the biodiversity is depleting at a very higher rate. Three main types of biodiversities are: first, number of species; second, the genetic richness within the species; and third, variety of biological communities in the world. Nature changes environment, resulting elimination of one or two species. But till today, mankind is disrupting ecosystem, resulting species extinction, which was one plenty due to modernization. It is estimated that there is 30% loss in habitat alterations, 20% in hunting for commercial products, 18% in hunting, 7% in pest and predator, 5% in pet trade, 2% in religious and cultural practice, and rest 2% pollution and 16% in introduction of alien species due to human activities. It comes under category of wildlife resources and its conservation. A wildlife means a life in wild, which includes both plants and animals. Due to increase in man-made pollution, hunting and exploitation of natural resources, there is a steep decrease in global species numbers, which eventually has led to even extinction of certain species. Examples are sparrows, vultures, tigers, etc. India's total original forest cover in area is 16 lakh kilometers square, and per year there is estimated 2.4% deforestation, releasing 41 million tons of carbon every 5 years. Biological conservation. There are several strategies which are adopted by government for conservation of biological sources or biodiversity. First, legislation which includes Environment Protection Act 1986, Fisheries Act 1987, Forest Act 1927, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 1991. Due to increase in number of extinction of species, it has now become necessary to conserve wildlife. In situ and ex situ programs have been launched by MOEF, that is Ministry of Environment and Forest, to conserve. Second, in situ program involves increase in number of biospheres, sanctuaries, national parks, reserve forests, etc. with legal protection. And with due efforts from MOEF, the numbers are increasing with protection laws under Wildlife Protection Act 1974. Third, ex situ. It is a conservation of elements of biodiversity out of their natural habitats like zoos, botanical gardens and seed banks. This work is being done by institutions such as National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, New Delhi, and the National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, and many more. Fourth, recording indigenous knowledge and community participation in biodiversity conservation by the local community people residing in that area. International conservational strategies. International treaties and agreements have been signed and participated for the Convention on Biological Diversity, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, that you can also call as CITES sites, and the Convention on Wetlands of International Importance. The fourth type of natural resources are mineral resources. Mineral resources comprises of metals and non-metals. Structural metals like aluminium, iron, scarce metals like copper, lead, zinc, magnesium, nickel and mercury, and precious metals like gold, platinum and silver are found at crustal layers and polymetallic nodules in the oceanic beds. Most of these are already mined for human use. India is one of the richest countries in mineral reserves. According to a Geological Survey of India, there are almost 22 types of minerals available in the various states of India. A large part of minerals are already mined out, partially, but still, if the mining continues, then in few decades there will be hardly any new area for exploration. Now let's have a look at mineral conservation. Minerals are such resources which will prove very helpful for our coming generations. Hence, it is necessary to take important steps to conserve and preserve it. First step, economical use of minerals in different elements, which means to use minerals only and only when it is necessary. Second, various methods to be used for reuse and recycling of metals and also the products made out of it should be long lasting. Third step, minerals are made up of many materials. So, to the efficiency of extracting should be almost equal to 100%, and also if cheaper options are available, they should be considered. The fourth step, search for new mineral deposits. The fifth type of resources are energy resources. Energy of most of the world comes from fossil fuels, which includes coal, oil and gas, and nuclear fuels like uranium, thorium, deuterium and lithium. Fossil fuels and nuclear fuels come under category of non-renewable forms of energy, while solar, wind, biomass, tidal, wave, hydroelectricity and geothermal come under category of renewable sources of energy. Oil, that too crude oil, is the main source of energy, where out of 600 sedimentary basins, 200 are restricted due to environmental or political factors, 240 are not for commercial use and rest 160 are for commercial use. If we talk about coal, then 10 major countries have 92% of estimated reserves. On the other hand, in India, energy requirement varies from urban to rural usage according to its importance. India's estimated annual energy availability lies between somewhat 2,50,000 megawatt, out of which 90% is obtained from conventional sources. Now let's have a look at energy conservation. Mostly in today's world, 80% of energy that is consumed is obtained from non-renewable sources, which will become extinct if not now, then in coming decades. To conserve energy, we must start using the renewable forms of energy like wind energy, geothermal energy, wave energy, hydroelectric energy and biomass energy. The sixth type of natural resources are ocean resources. Oceans have been used by human beings as a source of food, colonization, commerce and welfare. It includes phytoplanktons, dinoflagellates, zooplanktons, meroplanktons, fishes and several flora and fauna. Tides and waves contribute to the vast collection of biological resources like minerals and energy resources. These have been used fractionally as of now, but due to overexploitation, pollution and habitat destruction, there is quite a possibility of depletion of aquaculture and coastal areas, which includes mangroves, seaweeds, seagrass and coral reefs. India's hydrocarbon reserve is as high as 12.7 billion tons, out of which 8.7 billion tons is estimated from sedimentary basin. Mostly, global community was primarily dependent on land resources and fishes and seaweed from the aquatic. But due to scarcity on land resources, the focus was shifted into aquatic ecosystem, causing major disturbance from Arctic to Atlantic. Ocean conservation. India's coastline is among the biggest. Mangroves cover 6.3% of peninsular coastline and coral reefs about 7%. Oceanic biological forms have been proven useful as novel drug resources from both coastal as well as marine. So, we will have to restrain our activities of exploitation on the coastal areas so that the biological wealth can be conserved for mankind. The seventh and one of its kind of natural resources is human resources. You must be shocked to know that even humans are form of resources. Humans are the resources, but sometimes we forget that even we are one form of resource and the most underutilized resource. Only a part of our labor engages in work, and that too for a fraction of a day, week and month, or even maybe mostly a year, for agricultural and market based orientations with less vitality. Due to overpopulation, human resource is underutilized, and it is estimated that labor force will increase by 2 or 3% by end of 20th century. Human conservation. Importance has been given to the concept investment in man, but there is no recognition of this human resource development in theory or practice. Interdependency of self-supporting system of attitudes and social institution plays a prominent role in utilization of any resources. So, programs have been made for mass education from primary level to higher education level as well as job oriented training. As of now, the success is not that much, but yes, there is need to define the problem and setting up an organization for monitoring of investment on human development. So, this was all about natural resources and its conservation. Summary. Let's summarize of what we have learned today. We began with types of natural resources and its different categories. Starting with water conservation, we learned how you can conserve water with collection and harvesting of water in different sections of the society. In land resources, focus was made on teaching importance of sustainable use of land and afforestation, deforestation and reforestation. Biological resources means biodiversity. Due to decline in number of species in animals and even plants, also extinction, special conservational acts, in situ and ex situ conservations, and coordination from local and international treaties, agreements have been signed and followed upon. For energy conservation, the focus should be on using renewable forms of energy. Minerals are present in abundance in Earth's crust. Many have been discovered, but still some are yet not known. Those known are used in such great quantities even at places where not needed. So, conservation is needed for economical and efficient usage of minerals. Then, the focus shifted on ocean resources. Ocean resources are still abundant, but looking at exploitation of other resources, it is advisable to take measures for less but proper use of marine aquaculture. Last but the most important was human resource, which if not worked upon will diminish, underutilized. So this was all about natural resources and its conservation. I hope you have understood and enjoyed this lecture. But before ending this segment, let's pledge to begin conservation from today itself by appropriate usage of natural resources. Thank you.